Hey, my name is Lana, and this is my birth story with my fifth baby. This is a baby girl named Corey, and this is my fifth natural childbirth, and that is just wild to me. Like, if you could have spoken to me when I was in college, I would have laughed at the thought of going natural. And I thought I had a very, very low pain tolerance. I still don't consider myself to have an extremely high pain tolerance. I'm sharing my story because I hope it can be an encouragement to you if you're curious about natural childbirth, if you're just interested, you're thinking about, if you're preparing for one. I hope that my story can be helpful for you. So I'm going to tell you start to finish how this birth went for me. I got her name from this book, Hiding Place. It's the story of Corrie ten Boom. It's a beautiful story. It's a true story. If you need something good to read, I encourage you to pick it up. But that's who we named her after. I'm going to move it just a little bit because I'm trying to keep as much light as I can. So my first baby was a week and a half late. Second baby was a week and a half early. I have had a baby right on the due date. I've had a baby 2 days after the due date. And this baby, Corey, was 4 days after the due date. 2 days after my due date, I was woken up with some crampiness, and it woke me up, and it was rhythmic, and I had to breathe through it. So I thought that day was the day. I thought that's when I was really having Corey. But throughout that day, it just never really progressed. I tried to take it easy. I just feel like I wasn't mentally there yet. And my husband was like, are you nervous? Are you not ready? And I just didn't spiritually feel there. My husband had just worked all weekend long and was so exhausted, and I felt like it wasn't quite time. And so I really tried to rest that day, hydrate really well. And I kind of had this thought of, I've had all of my babies in the middle of the night. I would really like to have her, maybe more in the day and labor through the day. That was kind of a prayer I had. So my first birth was a birth center birth out in Los Angeles when we were out in school there. But the last 4 have been home births. And so we, had a home birth this time. And I had a couple of hopes for this birth specifically. One, I was really hoping I would be more grateful. This is probably the last time I'm getting to have, a baby. And so I really wanted to pursue gratitude through the whole experience. We only get to birth a couple of times in our life. And I really just wanted it to be an experience that I was grateful for, even while I was going through it. So that was one hope I had. Another hope was that my friend Caroline would be able to come take pictures. She's a nurse, and we didn't really know if the schedules would line up, but she got to come. And I was really hoping that it wouldn't happen like right when Matt had already worked. So I wanted, him to not be as exhausted as well. And I was kind of hoping that my 5-year-old little girl would be able to be there. I've never had any of my kids at my births. And I just really felt like it would be a cool experience for her if she was up for it, of course. For her to have her thoughts kind of going about birth where she would see that it's natural and normal and it's not something she has to be afraid of. So I kind of had that secret hope in my heart that she would get to experience it. But I have 2 older boys, so I was like, I don't know if they're going to want to. They were all there, and I can't wait to tell you about that. It was amazing. Let's see, 2 days after my due date, I really thought it was happening, but it slowed way down. And this is like the first time that when it kind of started, I didn't just try to keep it going. I actually tried to slow it down. So I hydrated again, and I really just wanted to be fresh going into labor too. So I took some like melatonin that night and got like a warm, just mineral salt bath, and really was able to sleep really good that night. And so when I woke up the day I actually had her, it was on a Monday. I was woken up again with some cramps, but nothing too bad. But I really felt like that day was the day. I could just feel it. I asked Matt to stay home from work, and he took the kids. He made like really good breakfast. So I tried to fuel really well before. So I had some eggs, had some grits, I had some sausage, avocado, I had a little bit of coffee, and then just took a big thing of water and went for a big walk. Like I walked for 2 hours. And then it really started to kick up. I started to feel, hello, she's just staring at me. I started to really feel like it was starting to happen. I felt like my spirit was more accepting you know, I feel like I was walking towards acceptance and surrender, that this was the path the Lord had for me, and to not be fighting it and to just really get excited about it. And I think the number one thing that I was struggling with was I was struggling with the idea of, well, I've had 4 great births, no complications. I mean, there have been hard moments, scary moments, but you know, I've had 4 good births. So it's probably something's gonna go wrong this time. This like this cynical spirit. And then I really felt like the Lord kind of nudged me in the direction of, okay, Lana, you're thinking of what ifs in the wrong direction. What if it's better than your other births? What if it's beautiful? What if it's worshipful? What if you really get to experience gratitude through it? What if Nola gets to see it and it's a great experience for her? Like, what if? And I started to get excited. And I think we do that a lot as women. We think of all the what if scenarios in the wrong direction, but I don't know if, you know, we really ponder, like, what if I do a great job as a mom? What if my kids turn out to be Jesus-loving, amazing humans? Like, what if? What if I end up having a great relationship with my kids when they're older? You know, I think sometimes we just go in the wrong direction. And so I really feel like the Lord helped me get in that right direction of what if it goes really well? And it's a great experience. And so I listened to a lot of Hillsong United. I have like a playlist from one of the concerts, the set list from one of the concerts I went to, and just listened to some of the words, and I was just like, yes, like, you've always been faithful. Your past faithfulness is an indication of your future faithfulness. You've never left nor forsaken me. I don't know how it'll go, but you do. And I just felt like I was like, okay, like, let's go. So I came back from that walk with like a whole new resolve. I really felt like, okay, let's do this thing. And another hope I had had for labor was that I would be able to stay busy during the bulk of labor. And I felt really inspired by Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone. She just had her 8th baby, and she made a video called Homemaking in Labor. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to stay as busy as possible, going about my normal day, stay on my feet, let gravity help me. I've read in a lot of midwifery books that all around the world, different cultures, women stay busy during labor. You know, Amish communities, they make a bunch of bread when, you know, the woman's going into labor, because she knows she needs to keep her mind somewhere else and stay on her feet, stay moving, and not just tune into every sensation we're feeling. I feel like that's what I did with my first baby, is I just tuned into every single sensation I was having. And that really was a mistake, because it made labor way longer than it had to be. So my greatest recommendation is to stay as busy as you can and ignore labor as long as you can until you can ignore it no longer. And so how I did that was I got back from my walk and I decided that I had been craving some just good biscuits. Made Magnolia's biscuits, Magnolia recipe for biscuits, like 3 sticks of butter, but they were good. And then my friend had given me a starter recently, and I made some sourdough bread with my girls. And yes, the kitchen was dirty, but I didn't really care. I just stayed on my feet. And then I realized that I was going to be inside for a while, for a couple of weeks, and it's winter here. And so I got my little like Swiffer stick and went outside and got the cobwebs off the windows, anything I could think of to just keep my mind busy. And after I did that, I drank some electrolytes and some minerals, and I went out for another walk. And another thing I had remembered from, you know, just all of my birth prep and really just refreshing my course, Labor Without Fear, was that humor can be really helpful in labor. And so I listened to Tim Hawkins' song Yoga Pants a couple of times and was just laughing. And then it got to the point where I had to stop every time I was getting a contraction and just pause, even though I was laughing. And that went on for a while until I got back towards the house and I saw my 7-year-old boy, and he was like, Mama, I want to walk with you. So he walked with me for a little while, and he actually helped me time my contractions. When I was timing them, they were lasting 45 seconds to a minute, and they were about 2 minutes apart. Like, it was starting to get real. So I called my midwife and told her what I was feeling, and she said, okay, well, let me know what you're feeling when you get back from your walk. Well, when I got back to the house, I knew that I was not going to be walking out of that house until I had Corey. Like, I knew it was getting close to game time. Thankfully, Matt had already blown up the tub. He knew, like when I left for that second walk, I think he knew that I had that look in my eyes and it was getting close to game time. So he had blown up the tub, and then I started to have this like panic feeling because I really could not talk through contractions any longer, and I felt like I had a lot of stuff I really still needed to do. I realized there were like some verses and some pictures that I really wanted laminated because I was going to be around my birth tub and things like that. I went and got my laminator, but like I just couldn't focus on anything. Like it was really getting close to like I can't talk, I can't really think through the contractions. And so I also wanted to film a little bit of my birth. I've never filmed any of my birth before, but I like couldn't figure out where my camera was, what the settings were. I just like couldn't think. And so finally got all that done. And then I like was like, okay, I think I want to get in the shower. By that time, my friend Caroline showed up, and thankfully she was off work that day, so that worked out. And I got in the shower, and then my first midwife got there, and she was like, okay, are we getting a shower or are we filling up the tub? Like which one? And that is another thing. If you're having a home birth, you need to crank up your hot water heater. We didn't have enough hot water for me to be in the shower and filling up the birth tub. So I had to get out of the shower. And I really like the heat of the shower on my back. I feel like it gives me some nice relief while I still have gravity working for me. I feel like that's really helpful because I feel like I can feel baby inching down. But I had to get out of the shower. At that point, I was cold. My bra that I wanted to wear during labor had gotten wet. And so my midwife was like, okay, the birth tub's filled up enough, you can get in. I was kind of hesitant because honestly, I like staying out of the birth tub as long as possible. My first 2 births, I feel like I just huddled in the birth tub as long as I could because I was running from the pain. And really my goal is like, I want to run right through the heart of this thing. Like I don't want to be in labor 1 second longer than I have to be to meet this sweet baby. Like I'm running through the heart of this thing. And I felt like when I get in the birth tub, it just slows everything down. So I get in the birth tub and I feel like it does slow things down. So I feel like I should have probably trusted my gut and stayed out of the birth tub, but I think I was cold. Like my belly was cold and my bra was cold. So, you know, after I was in the birth tub a little bit, taking some contractions, I felt like I needed to throw up. And actually, I think a lot of people are afraid of that. Like if they really don't like throwing up, I knew that was actually a really good sign because it can really help open you up. Like when your body is convulsing like that, it can do some work. And I felt like it did. Like it was one of those things where I was like, give me more. Like where I've probably fought that feeling in the past because I don't like throwing up, I kind of welcomed it because I knew it was productive. And that's like the whole mindset that's really, really helpful for labor is to realize that what you're feeling is a working pain, not a hurting pain. It's a productive pain. It's a productive muscle movement contraction to bring baby down and out. And so in the past, I've fought that feeling. It was very much like, give it to me, let's go. This is getting me through this faster than just by resisting my body, if that makes sense. And so threw up, then got back in the birth tub. And then I really felt like I wanted to like pull on some ropes. I had this feeling and I could see it in my mind. You know, in other cultures, they like pull on ropes and it helps to open up your pelvic floor when you're pulling. And I really wanted to just like kind of hang. So Matt was right by the birth tub. So I was kind of like hanging onto his shoulders. And this was like a really different experience because normally I get really trancy where I just like go into such a trance. I'll show a picture from my 4th birth. I was just in a trance. But this time I felt like I was trancy, but I was able to also talk. And I think one thing that helped was just remembering like not to take all of this so seriously, you know, just remember my sense of humor. Another thing I had read was to just be really kind and grateful for everybody that's showed up to help me. And just, you know, if somebody offers me water, to say thank you. You know, everybody's there trying to help me. And so, you know, just to keep the environment really kind and positive, I think that helped. And then my kids being there. My kids just were there. It was like 5 p.m. and they wanted to be in the room. And I just told them, especially the boys, I was like, if this is scaring you, you don't have to be here. You know, of course I couldn't talk during my contraction, but I would like pause and say, you know, I am not hurting. Mama's working really hard right now. I'm okay. I'm not trying to scare you. But the girls would just put their hand on mine, tell me they're praying for me. Like Sunny pulled a step stool up. She's 3. And we thought she was going to like fall in the birth tub. She just wanted to be right there. And so I feel like it gave me a lot of courage, and it also helped me to not turn so much inward and focus on myself, but just to remember that I needed to stay in control of, you know, my thoughts and my face and all of that for my kids. I don't think I was performing for them, but just more of like, I think in the past I've even complained in my head, if that makes sense, and it can make everything a lot harder. So I really tried to like speak truth out, and it was really cool because a lot of people in the room were just, I would speak something true out and they would encourage me. Like I would say, yes, my, oh, that was a big burp. I would say like, yes, give me more, this is good. And then Megan, my friend who was there as a doula, she was like, yes, you know, yes, you keep telling yourself that. That's exactly right. She is working her way down. Or I would say like, Jesus, you never left me nor forsaken me. And my midwife would be like, absolutely true. Like he is right here with us. He is not leaving you, Lana, for 1 second. And so it was really cool just to speak encouraging truths out and even scriptures out. And one thing that I say in my household, and I've said it in my course and I think somewhere else in another YouTube video, is the difference between cows and buffaloes is that cows run from storms and buffaloes run into the heart of a storm, and therefore they're in the storm less time. So I had a picture of a buffalo beside me. It's actually artwork that one of my friends from Knoxville did. It's amazing. But I had a picture of that, and so my son was like, remember, Mama, be the buffalo, Mama. And I'm like, yes, he is right. So it was just cool. It was just a lot of encouragement and truth. And, you know, it just kept me from being scared. I don't know. It was a really beautiful, encouraging environment. I was really thankful for that. Really cool that my kids got to see that. I could feel baby inching down a little bit. I started to use my J breath, which is where you like moo or ah, but instead of sending the breath out, you send it down. So it's like, you're like, if you're breathing out, it's like you're breathing it down. So moo, and you're trying to visualize the air going down, you know, basically out, you know, out your cervix. And so I really felt like when I was standing, kind of squatting, hanging on mat and doing that breathing, it was really inching her down. Like I could feel that. And I did that for a little while, and then I started to feel that pressure where I was like, okay, I think she's close. And then I sat down, and at that point my mucus plug came out, which is just like a thick kind of bloody show. And that was a good sign because my water hadn't broken, and so I knew that bloody show was going to come first. So at that point I was like, okay, I am getting so close. And within a couple of contractions, I was in the water and my water broke. It just felt like something popped. And I was like, okay, this is good. Like I am getting so close. And I reached my hand up in me, and at the very top, about this high, I could feel her head, and I could just feel this soft little warm fuzzy head at the very top. And another thing I did was I just spoke out what I was scared about. That's one thing I had read, is if there's something bothering you in the environment, very kindly say it out loud. And so I just said to my midwife, she still feels really high. Like I'm nervous it's going to take a long time to get her down. And she was like, no, not at all. It does not, that's not always true. Like that's okay. Like it's okay that she's high. She can come down real fast. And I sat down in the tub, and I really felt like I could start to feel that bearing down feeling. It felt like my back was expanding too. I knew that really familiar feeling. Going neath. Okay, I'm just gonna stick her under my shirt and finish. But so I knew that she was really close, and when I could feel her head, like touching her head totally gets me out of my self-protective mode that's obviously scared of pushing the head out, and just really clicks me into, okay, this is about her. I'm helping her be born. And like my body knows what to do, my baby knows what to do. I need to partner with my body and help my baby, you know. So I gave a good push with the J breath and in the water. And this was really interesting. This was a first for me. I was pushing with my hands inside of myself so I could feel. And when I got her head almost, like it came down real fast, I could feel tissue over her head still. And instead of blowing through that, because in that moment I heard my midwife say, bear down easy, be easy. I paused there. So you can't push really without a contraction. So I paused there, you know, and there could be, I sat there with her head at the exit for like 30 seconds until I got another contraction, because I could feel tissue. I could have just blown through that. But I sat there, and then when I got another contraction, then I felt like the tissue moved and I pushed her whole head out. And that is such a relieving feeling, I'm telling you. And then, you know, her head's underneath the water, but that's okay because she hasn't come up for air yet, and so she's not breathing in the water, if that makes sense. Had that contraction, her head was out, and then when I got another contraction, I got her body out. And it was such a relieving feeling. It's always just this like euphoria of we're done, we did it, she's here. And then I lifted her up, and we didn't realize at first that the cord was wrapped one time around her neck, but we quickly figured it out. They flipped her upside down and lifted it off, and it was totally fine. There was actually another knot, a complete like figure 8 knot in her cord. My midwife was like, I have never seen that before. She's been doing this for a while. So, oh, she's been gulping. I think I have really fast letdown. Oh goodness, oh goodness. It was just amazing. Like, my kids were right there. They were all so excited. And later that night, my son Eli was like, Mom, you just worked so hard for our family. Like, that was amazing. And my boys were just so in love with her. And it was, I feel like they were so much more bonded to her because they had watched her be born. And they really couldn't see much because, you know, the tub is high and the water's high. So, and I had a bra on. So, I don't know, I felt good about them being there. I feel like it was really beautiful, and I'm really thankful for the way it all went down. And it was so amazing. I feel like the footage from the birth is not great because it was so dark, like the camera was just stuck in the closet, but I'm glad I got a little bit of it on film.
There she is.
Yeah.
There she is.
Yeah.
Get her up.
Your face up, Mama. That's it. Just your face. Yeah.
I wish I could show you the whole video, but I forgot. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about this, but I have like music. I was playing United Pursuit. I play United Pursuit for all of my births, and of course on like YouTube you can't play music, copyrighted music. And so I'm gonna throw that whole birth inside my course because, you know, I can do that. It's not public. So if you're in the course, you can watch the real live video of it all. Even though it's kind of dark, you can still see and hear everything. So I'm happy to put that in there for you guys. I'm so grateful it went well. If you are thinking about natural birth and you want to learn how to take your faith and put it into your preparation. Also, I take my master's in sports psychology and teach you how the brain works and how pain works and how you can take control of your mind and really feel less pain. Like, I'm not going to say you feel no pain, but how all of that works. That's one thing I talk about in the course, and just also how just to walk with the Lord through the whole process. It's such a portal of growth. Every single time I had to wrestle with my own fears and anxieties, choose to trust the Lord all over again, even though it had gone well before. I didn't know how it was going to go this time, so it was still a faith walk for me, and I'd love to help you through that faith walk as well, because honestly, birth it's transformed a lot of my motherhood and the way I see different circumstances. And so I know it'll be no different for you, no matter, you know, what that portal of growth looks like for you. So just want to encourage you in that. So thanks for celebrating with us. And if you want more content just to help you become the faith-filled woman you're meant to be, that's what Girl Teach Me is all about. So I'd love to have you here. I hope you hit subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video.